The massive object appeared on Earth's deep space monitoring systems without warning. At first, the astronomers at NASA thought it was a glitch in their equipment. But when observatories across the globe started reporting the same readings, they knew this was something unprecedented. "Sir, you need to see this," called out Tom Miller, the night shift supervisor at NASA's Deep Space Network facility. His superior, Director Robert White, leaned over the console, his coffee forgotten in his hand as he stared at the readings. The object wasn't just large, it was enormous. As more data came in, they realized it wasn't a single object, but a fleet of ships, thousands of them, drifting at the edge of our solar system. They were dark, showing no signs of power or propulsion. The first signal came 3 days later. It was weak, barely detectable, but it was clearly artificial. The message repeated across multiple frequencies, using basic mathematical sequences that proved its intelligent origin. The world's best code breakers and scientists worked around the clock to decipher it. "It's a distress signal," announced Director White to the emergency UN Council meeting. "They're asking for help." The revelation sent shockwaves through human civilization. Not only had humanity made first contact, but these advanced beings needed their help. The fleet's situation became clearer as more messages arrived. Their ships had suffered a catastrophic failure of their main propulsion systems. Life support was running on backup power, and their resources were dwindling. The numbers were staggering. Over 2 million alien beings were trapped aboard those ships, slowly drifting through space, their fate now in humanity's hands. World leaders gathered in an emergency summit. For the first time in human history, all nations agreed to set aside their differences. This wasn't about politics or power anymore. It was about saving lives, even if those lives were alien. The aliens sent technical data about their ships. The information revealed technology far beyond human understanding. But one thing was clear: they were running out of time. Their life support systems would fail within months. "We can't just let them die," argued Dr. Lisa Brown, Earth's leading xenobiologist, during a crucial meeting. "This could be humanity's greatest moment, or our greatest shame if we fail to act." The decision was unanimous. Earth would mount a rescue mission. But there was a problem. The alien fleet was using technology so advanced that Earth's best scientists couldn't comprehend how it worked. The ships themselves were massive, each one larger than the largest vessels humanity had ever built. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best," suggested Mark Wilson, a veteran space engineer. "We might not understand their technology, but we know ours works. We use what we have." The plan was audacious. Earth would send its own fleet, not of advanced ships, but of reliable, proven spacecraft using conventional technology. They would carry supplies, engineering teams, and hope. As preparations began, more messages arrived from the alien fleet. They had been traveling for centuries, their ships passed down through generations. They had fled their dying star system, searching for a new home. Now their journey might end in tragedy unless humanity could help them. The scale of the rescue mission was unprecedented. Space agencies worldwide pooled their resources. Every available rocket was commandeered. Manufacturing facilities worked around the clock to produce the needed equipment. "We're about to attempt the biggest rescue mission in human history," Director White announced to the press. "We don't know if we'll succeed, but we know we have to try." As the first human rescue ships prepared for launch, a final message arrived from the alien fleet. Translated, it was simple but powerful. "We had heard of humans. Many thought you primitive, too young to be of note. We were wrong. You are our last hope." The message was shared worldwide. Humanity had been called to prove itself, not through war or competition, but through compassion and ingenuity. The rescue mission would show the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. As the first rescue ships lifted off from launch pads around the world, humanity held its breath. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin, and its success or failure would define our species for generations to come. The world changed overnight. Television screens, phones, and news feeds showed nothing but the massive rescue operation taking place. For the first time in history, nations weren't competing in space. They were working together. Captain James Walker stood in the massive hangar of the newly formed United Earth Space Command, looking at the assembled spacecraft. 20 years of military flying and space missions hadn't prepared him for this moment. He'd been chosen to lead humanity's most important mission. Impressive sight, isn't it? Director White walked up beside him. Every space-capable nation contributed. Russian engines, American life support systems, Chinese navigation technology, Indian communication arrays, all working together. The rescue fleet consisted of 30 ships, each one carrying essential supplies and specialized teams. They weren't beautiful or advanced like the alien vessels they were going to save, but they were sturdy and reliable. "The engineering team is ready for your inspection, Captain," announced Dr. Tom Miller, now chief of the technical division. Walker followed him to a large conference room where 50 of Earth's best engineers waited. "Ladies and gentlemen," Walker addressed the room, "we're about to attempt something unprecedented. Those aliens out there, they've got technology we can barely understand. But they need our help, and we're going to give it to them." The team spent weeks studying the technical data sent by the aliens. The alien ships used crystals for everything: power, propulsion, even life support. It was technology that seemed more like magic than science. "Look at this," Dr. Miller pointed to a holographic display. "Their entire propulsion system is based on some kind of crystal matrix. No moving parts, no fuel as we know it. Just pure energy manipulation." The engineers worked around the clock, trying to understand how they could help ships that operated on principles they couldn't comprehend. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. "What if we're thinking about this all wrong?" asked Mary Roberts, a young engineer from Australia. "We don't need to understand exactly how their technology works. We just need to get those ships moving." Her idea was simple but brilliant. Instead of trying to repair the alien technology, they would use human methods to move the ships. Powerful rockets, traditional engines, and strong cables could tow the alien vessels if necessary. The preparation continued at a frantic pace. Every day, more messages arrived from the alien fleet. Their situation was growing desperate. Life support systems were failing one by one, and their backup power was running low. "We've got 3 months at most," Walker told his crew during their final briefing. "After that, those 2 million aliens start dying. We're not going to let that happen." The rescue fleet took shape. Each human ship was equipped with massive towing cables, spare power generators, and emergency supplies. The crews trained day and night, preparing for every possible scenario. "Remember," Walker addressed his crews, "we're not just saving lives. We're showing the galaxy what humanity can do. We might not have crystal ships or energy matrices, but we've got something better: human ingenuity and determination." The day of launch arrived. Millions gathered around launch sites worldwide to watch the rescue fleet depart. It was humanity's finest moment. Not a single nation or organization, but the entire species working together. "Control, this is Rescue Fleet Command." Walker's voice crackled over the radio. "All ships report ready for launch." The countdown began. Around the world, 30 spacecraft prepared to lift off simultaneously. It was the largest coordinated space launch in human history. 10, 9, 8. The world held its breath. 7, 6, 5. Engineers monitored their systems carefully. 4, 3, 2. Walker gripped his controls tightly. 1. Liftoff. 30 rockets ignited at once, their combined roar heard for miles. Streams of fire pushed against Earth's gravity as humanity's rescue fleet began its journey to save an alien civilization. As the ships climbed higher, a final message was broadcast from Earth to the stranded alien fleet: "Hold on. We're coming." The mission to save 2 million alien lives had begun. Humanity's greatest test lay ahead, but they were ready. They had to be. The lives of an entire civilization depended on it. The rescue fleet moved through space in perfect formation. After 2 weeks of travel, they were approaching the stranded alien vessels. No amount of data or images could have prepared the human crews for what they saw. The alien ships were breathtaking. Each vessel was crystalline in structure, catching and reflecting starlight like massive diamonds floating in space. They were arranged in a vast spiral pattern. Thousands of ships spread out over millions of kilometers. "My God," whispered Walker, standing on his ship's observation deck. "They're beautiful." The first challenge came immediately. The alien ships had no traditional docking ports or airlocks. The human fleet had to improvise a way to make first contact. "Rescue fleet to alien command." Walker broadcast on all frequencies. "We are preparing to approach. Please acknowledge." The response came in pulses of light, flickering from the nearest alien vessel. The ship's computers translated the pattern. "Welcome, Earth rescuers. Approach the main vessel at coordinates provided." The human ships moved carefully through the alien fleet. Up close, the crystal ships were even more impressive. Some were as large as small cities, their surfaces intricate patterns of transparent and translucent materials. Walker's ship, designated Rescue 1, approached the main alien vessel. As they drew near, a section of the crystalline hull seemed to melt away, creating an opening. "Well," Walker said to his crew, "they're inviting us in. Let's not keep them waiting." The docking procedure was tense. Human engineers had designed special adapters based on the alien specifications, but theory and practice were very different things. Everyone held their breath as Rescue 1 made contact with the alien ship. The airlock cycled, and for the first time, humans came face to face with the alien beings. They were unlike anything anyone had imagined. The aliens were crystalline, like their ships. Their bodies were semi-transparent, with internal lights pulsing in complex patterns. They moved with fluid grace, despite appearing to be made of living crystal. "Greetings," pulsed the lead alien, its body glowing with each word. The human translators converted the light patterns to speech. "I am First Light of Dawn, commander of this fleet." Walker stepped forward. "Captain James Walker, United Earth Space Command. We're here to help." The alien commander's body flickered with what seemed to be emotion. "For generations, we have traveled. When our systems failed, many thought it was our end. Few believed the young species of Earth would or could help." The human engineering teams spread out through the alien vessel, guided by crystalline beings. What they found was both amazing and terrifying. "Their main power crystal is completely dead," reported Chief Engineer Wilson over the radio. "It's like their hearts stopped beating. The backup systems are running on minimal power." More disturbing was the state of the alien population. Entire sections of the ships were dark, their inhabitants in a kind of suspended animation to conserve energy. Those still active were weakened, their internal lights dim. "How many are still conscious?" Walker asked First Light. "Less than a quarter of our population." The alien commander pulsed sadly. "The rest are in deep sleep. If power fails completely, they will not wake." The human crews worked tirelessly, setting up temporary power supplies and life support systems. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it would buy them time. "Look at this," Dr. Miller called Walker to a central chamber. The room was filled with crystal formations, all dark and lifeless. This was their main drive system. It's completely inert. First Light pulsed softly. "We never imagined our crystal hard drives could fail. Our ancestors built them to last eternally." Walker watched his crews work, human and alien working side by side. The aliens were fascinated by human technology, so different from their own. Where they used crystal resonance and light, humans used electricity and mechanical systems. "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways," Walker said to First Light. "We'll find a way to get your people home." The alien commander's light patterns showed what seemed to be hope. "Perhaps this is why the universe brought us together. Your people remember things mine has forgotten." As the rescue operation continued, Both species began to learn from each other. The humans marveled at alien crystal technology, while the aliens discovered the reliability of simpler human systems. It was just the beginning of what would become an extraordinary partnership. The main engineering bay of Rescue One had become a curious mixture of human and alien technology. Crystal shards lay next to traditional tools, while holographic displays flickered beside standard computer screens. Dr. Miller wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined a fragment of the alien's crystal drive. It's like nothing we've ever seen. The crystal matrix is incredibly complex. A young alien engineer named Bright Spark floated nearby, its crystalline form pulsing with curiosity. Our ancestors built these drives to channel the mental energy of our species. We are all connected through the crystal network. Mental energy. Miller looked up, surprised. You mean these ships are powered by thought? Precisely. Bright Spark flickered. But after centuries of travel, the connection has grown weak. The crystals no longer respond to our calls. The human engineers were stunned. They had been trying to understand the alien technology from a purely mechanical perspective, never considering it might be psychically powered. Walker called an emergency meeting of all ship commanders. The news spread quickly through the rescue fleet. They weren't just dealing with advanced technology, but with something that bordered on the supernatural. So let me get this straight, Walker said during the meeting. Their entire civilization depends on crystal technology that's mentally powered, and now that power is failing. First Light pulsed in agreement. Our ancestors were far more powerful psionically. Each generation, our connection to the crystal heart grows weaker. We never developed alternative technologies. The human engineers worked around the clock, trying to understand how they could help. They set up measuring devices, ran countless tests, and studied the crystal technology from every angle. The breakthrough came 3 days later. Captain, Dr. Miller's excited voice came over the intercom. You need to see this immediately. Walker rushed to the engineering bay. Miller was standing next to a small crystal shard connected to a standard human power supply. Watch this, Miller said, adjusting the power flow. The crystal began to glow faintly. We discovered something fascinating, Miller explained. These crystals don't just respond to mental energy. They respond to any form of energy. The aliens just never tried anything else. First Light's body pulsed with intense light. Impossible. The crystals are sacred, tied to our very being. Sacred or not, Miller said, they're still crystals. They can be energized by electricity, just like any other crystalline structure. The discovery changed everything. Human engineers began designing massive power converters that could channel electrical energy into the alien crystal networks. It's risky, Miller admitted during a planning session. We'll be pumping enormous amounts of power into their systems. One wrong move could shatter their crystal matrices completely. But they had no choice. The alien fleet's backup power was failing faster than expected. Without a solution, they would lose thousands of lives. The first test was conducted on a small auxiliary vessel. Human engineers carefully connected their power systems to the ship's crystal heart. Everyone watched nervously as they began to channel energy. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the crystal matrix began to glow. The alien crew members pulsed with excitement as they felt their connection to the ship strengthen. It's working, Miller shouted. The crystal network is accepting our power. But they weren't done yet. Powering one small ship was very different from energizing an entire fleet. The human engineers would need to design a system that could distribute power to thousands of vessels simultaneously. We'll need to modify every ship in our fleet, Walker told Earth Command during his report. Convert them into massive power generators. It's not what they were designed for, but it's our only option. First Light approached Walker after the test. Your people continue to amaze us. We thought our technology was beyond your understanding. Instead, you found a solution we never imagined. Walker smiled. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones right in front of us. We just need to look at things differently. The rescue fleet began its modifications. Every human vessel was transformed into a power station, ready to feed energy into the alien crystal network. It was dangerous and unprecedented, but it was their best hope for saving 2 million lives. As the work continued, both species learned an important lesson. There was more than one way to solve a problem, and sometimes the simplest solution was the best one. The warning came without notice. Solar activity increasing, reported the science officer from Rescue 1. Massive solar flare detected. Walker rushed to the bridge. The sun was ejecting a massive burst of plasma directly toward their position. Under normal circumstances, ships would have time to raise shields or move out of the way, but they were connected to the alien fleet through countless power cables and makeshift connections. How long? Walker demanded. 15 minutes until it hits us, came the response. It's Category X10, sir, one of the largest ever recorded. First light's crystalline form pulsed with anxiety. Our shields are non-functional without main power. Such radiation will shatter our crystal matrices. The situation was dire. The human fleet's shields could protect their own ships, but they weren't designed to shield vessels hundreds of times their size. And disconnecting from the alien fleet now would doom thousands still in suspended animation. All ships, this is Walker, he broadcast. Emergency stations, we need ideas, people. Now. Dr. Miller's voice crackled over the comm. Captain, the alien crystal structure, it's not just their technology, it's their defense system too. If we could power it enough. We don't have time to power up their entire defense grid, Walker responded. No, Miller said quickly. But what if we reversed it? Instead of spreading our power thin trying to run their systems, we concentrate everything into their outer crystal layer. It was risky. They'd be pushing more power through the connections than they were designed to handle. But they had no choice. All ships, divert all power to the crystal hull reinforcement, Walker ordered. Everything except life support. Now. The rescue fleet's engines went dark. Life support systems dropped to minimum levels. Every bit of power they could spare was channeled into the alien fleet's outer crystal structure. The massive crystalline ships began to glow brighter and brighter. The human power cables glowed red-hot with the energy they were conducting. Solar flare impact in 1 minute. Walker watched the incoming wall of plasma on his screens. If they failed, both fleets would be destroyed. Humanity's greatest rescue mission would become its greatest tragedy. 30 seconds. First lights form, pulsed rapidly. The crystal matrices are at maximum capacity. They cannot handle much more power. They have to, Walker replied. Everyone brace for impact. The solar flare hit them like a hammer. The space around them lit up brighter than day as massive amounts of radiation and plasma washed over both fleets. Power connections exploded. Warning alarms blared throughout every ship. The alien crystal hull glowed so bright it was painful to look at. But it held. The combined power of the human fleet, channeled through the alien crystal technology, created a shield unlike anything either species had seen before. The solar flare's energy was not just blocked. It was absorbed and redistributed through the crystal matrix. When the storm passed, both fleets were still there, damaged, but alive. Damage report, Walker called out. The reports came in. Several power conduits had blown out. Some systems were fried. But the core connection between the fleets remained intact, and not a single life was lost. First light's form glowed with what could only be described as awe. Your people's quick thinking saved us all. You sacrifice your own power to protect us. That's what humans do, Walker replied simply. We adapt. We protect. We survive. The crisis had passed, but it had taught both species valuable lessons. The aliens learned that their crystal technology could be used in ways they never imagined. The humans learned that sometimes the best solutions came from combining the old with the new. As repair crews from both species worked to fix the damage, Walker looked out at the massive crystal fleet, still glowing faintly from the absorbed energy. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them we're going to need more power cables. A lot more. And tell them we just found a way to make this rescue mission work." The solar flare had nearly killed them all. But in facing that crisis, they had discovered the key to saving the alien fleet. Sometimes, Walker reflected, the greatest discoveries came from the most desperate moments. Dr. Miller hadn't slept in 3 days. The solar flare incident had revealed something extraordinary about the alien crystal technology, and he couldn't stop thinking about it. "Look at these readings," he showed Walker, pointing to a complex display of energy patterns. During the solar flare, their crystal matrix didn't just block the energy, it absorbed it. It's still holding that power. Walker leaned closer. "What are you suggesting?" "Their crystal drives don't need psychic energy specifically," Miller explained, his eyes bright with excitement despite his exhaustion. "They just need the right type of energy signature, and I think we can replicate it." The engineering bay became a hub of frantic activity. Human and alien engineers worked side by side, connecting sensors and power converters to a small section of crystal drive. Bright spark hovered nearby, its crystalline form pulsing with interest. "You believe you can activate our drives using your technology?" "Not exactly," Miller replied, adjusting some connections. "We're going to use your crystal matrix's own stored solar energy, but controlled through our systems, like playing a musical instrument." The first test was ready. They had isolated a small crystal node, about the size of a car, connected to both human power systems and monitoring equipment. "Beginning power modulation," Miller announced. The human systems hummed to life, sending carefully controlled pulses of electricity into the crystal. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the crystal began to pulse with a soft light. It was the same pattern they had seen in the alien engineers when they communicated. "It's responding." Bright spark pulsed excitedly. "The crystal, it sings again." The breakthrough led to a flurry of activity. Human engineers worked to scale up the system, while alien technicians helped tune the energy frequencies to match their crystal technology perfectly. "We'll need to modify every ship in both fleets," Walker told the gathered commanders. "The human ships will act as control centers, channeling and modulating the energy stored in the alien crystal matrices." The work was challenging. Each connection had to be perfect. Too much power would shatter the crystals, too little would fail to activate them. But slowly, systematically, they began linking the fleets together. First Light watched the proceedings with growing hope. "Your species continues to amaze us. You have found a way to awaken our ancient technology using methods we never imagined." The real test came when they attempted to activate the drive of a small alien scout ship. Both human and alien crews held their breath as the power systems engaged. The crystal drive began to glow, brighter and brighter. The familiar hum of energy filled the air. Then, slowly at first, but with growing confidence, the scout ship moved under its own power. "It works," Miller shouted, his exhaustion forgotten. "The crystal drive is fully operational." The success was repeated on larger and larger ships. Each time, the combination of stored solar energy and human control systems brought the ancient crystal drives back to life. But they faced another challenge. The alien fleet was enormous. Even with every human ship working at full capacity, they couldn't power all the crystal ships at once. "We'll do it in stages," Walker decided. "Power up sections of the fleet one at a time, moving them closer to Earth. It'll take longer, but it's safer." The plan was put into action. The human fleet split into groups, each responsible for activating and guiding a section of the alien fleet. It was like a massive dance in space, with crystal ships slowly awakening and moving in coordinated patterns. First Light's form pulsed with joy as the first group of ships began to move. "After generations of drifting, we fly again. Your people have given us back our wings." Walker watched as another section of the crystal fleet came to life, their hulls glowing with renewed energy. "We're not just giving you back your ability to fly," he said. "We're showing both our species what we can achieve together." The rescue mission had evolved into something more. It wasn't just about saving lives anymore. It was about two very different civilizations, learning that their differences could be their greatest strength. As more crystal ships awakened, their light spread through space like a constellation of new stars, a beacon of hope and cooperation that would be remembered for generations to come. Earth's orbital space had never been so crowded. After 3 months of careful navigation and coordinated movement, the massive crystal fleet had finally arrived, their hulls catching sunlight and creating spectacular light shows in Earth's sky. People gathered in crowds across the planet, looking up at the impossible sight of thousands of alien ships filling the night sky. The crystalline vessels created patterns of light that made the stars themselves seem dim in comparison. Final approach vectors looking good, Walker reported from Rescue 1. All crystal ships maintaining stable orbits. The rescue mission had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Not a single life had been lost. The human fleet had managed to guide the entire alien civilization to safety, one section at a time. First Light stood on the observation deck of the main crystal ship, its form pulsing with emotion as it looked down at Earth. "Your world is beautiful. More beautiful than the legends told. It's your world too now," Walker replied. "At least until we can help you establish a permanent colony." The alien commander's light patterns shifted. "We have been discussing that among our people. We have a proposal for your world leaders." The meeting took place in a specially constructed chamber aboard the International Space Station. Human leaders gathered with the alien council, their crystalline forms casting rainbow patterns across the walls. "For generations, we searched for a new home," First Light addressed the assembly. "We thought we needed to find a world like our old one. But perhaps what we really needed was to find the right neighbors." The Alien Council's proposal was unprecedented. They didn't want to establish a separate colony. They wanted to integrate with human society. Their crystal technology, combined with human innovation, could revolutionize both civilizations. "Your people saved us." Bright spark pulsed, addressing the human leaders. "Not just our lives, but our understanding. We thought our crystal technology was the peak of advancement. You showed us that true advancement comes from diversity of thought." Dr. Miller presented the scientific implications. Their crystal technology, combined with our electrical systems, creates possibilities we never imagined. Clean energy, advanced computing, even new forms of space travel. The agreement was reached quickly. Earth would help the crystal beings establish settlements across the solar system, while the aliens would share their technology and knowledge. It wasn't just an alliance, it was a merging of civilizations. "There will be challenges," Walker said during the final ceremony. "Our species are very different, but we've already proven that those differences make us stronger together." The integration began immediately. Crystal structures began rising on Earth, while human technology was integrated into alien ships. The combined knowledge of both species accelerated technological progress at an unprecedented rate. First Light and Walker stood together on the observation deck one last time, watching Earth rotate below them. "When our systems failed," First Light pulsed softly. "Many thought it was the end of our civilization. Instead, it led us to a new beginning." Walker nodded. "Sometimes the worst moments lead us to the best outcomes. We needed each other. We just didn't know it until now." The alien's form brightened. "Your people call these stories humanity. Yeah. We did not understand this phrase at first. Now we do. It celebrates not just your strength, but your spirit. And now it celebrates our alliance too," Walker replied. "We're stronger together than we ever were apart." Below them, crystal cities glittered alongside human ones, their light reaching up toward the stars. The alien fleet, once stranded and dying, had found not just rescue but a new purpose, a new home, and new allies. The galaxy would never be the same. The story of how humanity saved a dying alien civilization became legend, told and retold across the stars. But the greater story was what came after. Two vastly different species, learning that their differences were not barriers but bridges to a better future. As night fell across Earth, the crystal ships glowed like new constellations, a permanent reminder that sometimes the greatest achievements come not from conquering or competing, but from reaching out to help those in need. The end of this rescue mission was just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure.